I can't hear if you speaking.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yay. It helps when you turn on your microphone. It helps a little bit. Oh my goodness. And I had it before where it would just automatically come on. And then now I decided to change things. And obviously it's not working. So, hey, Patrice. All right. So we're going to so I'm playing around with our formats. Not really changing a ton. Like these sessions, of course, are our weekly sessions, our powwows, opportunity to support, to get support. I want to start adding on more detailed and structured hot seat opportunities to our weekly calls, because I think everyone is dealing, has something that could be hot seated, and we get the support of the group. We're kind of already doing that, but I think they should be better. They can be better structured. So those are going to be added on. But first, so we'll still do our regular format, talk about what's working, what's not working, get the support of the group and all that. Someone can jump on the hot seat because we haven't officially started it. But I also want to do a review or overview of our new community, talk about that, because I know some of us are lost and like what is going on, talk about some updates and some new things happening here in the mastermind, some things we have to look forward to. And that's it. However, I wanted to start off by reviewing this document that I created for us to discuss. So if you all don't mind, I'd love to talk about time management and capacity planning before we jump into the second half, which is what we've been doing. How do y'all feel about that? Yeah. Okay. So
I'm
those
cool.
that come
I'm
in
in and out. So I'm with yeah, I'm in and out. So I'm fine with whatever.
in and out,
I'm here
was
though.
you busy?
No, I had the baby. I had to leave work earlier. So I'm just here trying to catch up and close things out. But my Raising a Mogul shirts came today. Yeah, so all
Finally,
nice
right?
and packaged.
Awesome, awesome. I
Yeah,
love it.
so but I'm here finishing up my work day.
Okay. All right. Well, do what you can. I mean, we're all talking about time management and capacity planning. So how fitting. It's always best when you're not multitasking, but we all have to do what we have to do. All right. So I'm sure some of our other friends will join us, but let's get started on this. We'll get through this. I'll give you the document, give you some time to think about it, consider it. And of course, you'll have it. And this is just something that you can do on your own time. But I did want to take some time and talk about it because some of the conversations I've been having with you all, some of the conversations that we've had collectively and many that I've had individually is like trying to manage it all. And we have to understand that we're never going to get it all done, but there is some way where we can create like a flow or harmony or rhythm in our life once we better understand how to manage our time and how to consider our own individual capacity and what we're capable of doing. All right, let me share my screen. Okay. This one here. Okay. I'm just moving stuff around. All right, so here's the document that I prepared for us to discuss. As you can see, I got a cute little table of contents up here. And ideally, I want to talk about us understanding the foundational principles of time management and capacity planning so that we're equipped with strategies to implement them in our daily lives and our businesses. No matter how organized we are in our daily to day life, if we're not our business is not going to thrive if we're not also organized, if we're not organized overall. So like life, like we have a rhythm, maybe with our kids, back to school, it's like, oh, that's when I feel so much better because I got this thing going on. But as soon as you throw in entrepreneurship and our kids' businesses and all the other things, you could meet a new group of friends, you could join a mastermind, and all of a sudden you got like 5 calls a week and other things you need to do and software to learn. And you're like, oh, shoot. Okay. So when we talk about the basics of time management, we really want to think about, all the different pieces of it, because I think we just look at it as a big a big monster, you know, that we have to kind of overcome or slay, as opposed to understanding that there are actually things that we can do to control it. And it's not this big, I just have to do better, or I have to do more. I have to figure out how to just, you know, I just have to do more in what the time I have, you know. But the idea of management is what we're talking about. Like, how do we manipulate? How do we use what we have? How do we strategically use what we have and plan accordingly so that we're not overwhelming ourselves? So I really want us to start thinking about where our time currently goes. So that's one of the exercises we're going to do. It's like, what are we spending time on that we shouldn't be spending time on? And it might, and when I say that, you know, some things might jump into your head and they might not be exactly what I'm thinking about, or what you'll end up, they might not be the same by the time at the close of this. Because a lot of times we think, you know, one of the things I read a book, oh, what was the name of the book? I can't think of it right now, but I have to think about it and I'll tell you. It was I think it was Tiny Habits. And in the book, he talks about how all the time it's just like common, it's easy for us, it rolls off our tongue that we say, I don't have time. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I don't have no time for this. And it's like, well, what do we have time for? And it's like, actually, we probably do have time for things. But hold on, someone's looking for the link. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Just let me drop the link real quick. And then text back. Okay, I apologize. So what I was saying is that we say these things, like we say different variations of, I just don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Or they keep calling me, I don't have time for this, right? But in actuality, we probably do have time for it, because if we were interested in it, we would make time for it, right? So really, it's just this concept of what we don't want to do versus what we do want to do. So we really need to start thinking about that. So in that, we're first assessing and really considering, honestly, where our time is going, and also differentiating between what's urgent and what's important. And then starting to batch, this concept of this idea of batching tasks together to increase our efficiency. And we'll talk a little bit about that and what that looks like. But I'm sure you all, I'm letting people, sorry, but I'm sure you all can think of, you know, what I mean when I say batching. So when I'm thinking about batching, so for me, what I do is I take a time block. So you'll see the third here is allocating specific blocks of time for specific activities. So it's only certain times a day that I do certain types of things. So these are things I want y'all to jot down and start to consider. I know I don't want to start jumping into coaching calls at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I have to, my first time block on my calendar is my own time. For one, it takes me, because I probably stayed up too late doing something I wanted to do, like reading or listening to music or whatever it is I was doing, hanging out with my kids, whatever. And I gave myself permission to allow, you know, to be like, I can stay up to midnight if I want, right? So instead of me going to bed feeling guilty, waking up feeling guilty, I just don't block. I block that time for my family time. So that way I don't have to worry that if I can't wake up right at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, and be like in the coaching or consulting mindset, it's okay. So that's not going to work for everyone, but you just have to think, like, when are you on your toes? When are you most, do you feel the sharpest, right? Do you start to get sleepy and feel a lull around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock? Then it's like, okay, let me just not, I already know I have to work the job, so I need a capacity for that. So let me not schedule 5 other things right after, because I need to unwind, refuel. So we have to think about those things. So time blocking is not, that I'm talking about, is a little bit, but not necessarily the traditional, I'm blocking off 3 hours to do my mastermind work. I'm blocking off 4 hours to fold the laundry. It could be like that for you, but I'm thinking of more of your personal self. When do you have the energy for it? What do you have the energy or the desire to do at what times of days and what days? Because there's some days, like Fridays, my brain is instantly like, yeah, all right. You know, it's like, we made it, chill, right? So on Fridays, I'm looking at Friday like other people look at Saturday. So I typically don't really work on Friday. So, right? Patrice is like, yep. So you have to think about what that looks like for you. And I also know that because my weekends are so heavy with other things, and I typically work whenever I want, I will wear a robe and slippers and do whatever I want on the weekend. Unless I have to do content, like you will catch me looking like whatever I want to look like. I might be dressed, I might not. Right. So my weekends are mine and I decide what I want to do. Of course, unless I'm traveling or something like that, or I have other commitments. But for the most part, those are my days to refuel and reset. It does not mean I don't work though. I do what I want. So when I get to Monday, while I'm it's goal time for me, it's still not goal time on other people's stuff. It's goal time on my stuff. Because the weekend, since I've relaxed, I rejuvenated, or I played, or hung out with the kids, or I laughed, or I watched a movie, or I slept in late, I was able to, now I get creativity starts to creep in, and now I'm excited and I start to think and I get ideas. So Monday is when I attack those ideas if I didn't do it on the weekend. Okay. So that's what my time blocking looks like. And then the batching comes into play for me specifically. And you have to think about what this work looks like for your life. Is like there's certain like admin tasks, like tedious things that I'm like, ugh, I have to do them, but I would rather not. I put those in in 1 hour. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check the email, do this, look at the budget, input stuff, respond back to these things, send the text messages, whatever. I do those things I batch the things. And then the other concept that I started exploring is, and this doesn't work for everyone, again, is doing the hard things first. So if you know tomorrow you have all these things you're going to do, and it's like, oh, I do not want to talk to her. I just don't want to. Right? I don't want to call them. I do not want to call the gas company because I can't find the account number or whatever, or I can't remember what the payment plan was, whatever it is. You don't want to do it first. So that way it drags you down your day, your week, when you don't attack the hard things first. That's what I have discovered, because you spend the day, even though you're like putting it off, you still spend the day thinking about the fact that you put it off and that it's coming. All right. Let me know in the chat. I'm going to open the chat. Let me know if anyone has any insight on what I'm saying, or if I'm like the only one here. So that's what, so that's kind of like the basics that I wanted to explore with you. The other piece of this is that I want us to start thinking about is our capacity. I wrote a Facebook post probably about a week and a half ago, and I start talking about this capacity planning and training that I've been doing. And it's really just me reading. I got a couple books. I'm listening to podcasts, and it's not like a program or anything like that. It's just me personal development for me, because I am a habitual overachiever and piler honor. Right. So I say yes, because I love to do new things. But if you love to keep doing new things, when do the old things get done? Right. So that's how we have to start thinking about things. It's like we have to start assessing our capacity. So when we think about capacity planning, we have to, it's all about assessing how to plan for our capacity, understanding our capacity, and really what that means. So I actually have like the definition of capacity for us to review. And that is, in the context of work, capacity refers to the maximum amount of work that can be accomplished by an individual, team, or organization within a given time frame. Just that alone is like, when's the last time you considered that? The maximum amount of work that can be accomplished. We usually don't. We just write the list and then go for it, and then be all sad or mad with ourselves that we didn't accomplish it. We didn't consider the amount of time that we set, that the challenge we gave ourselves, right? So it encompasses not just the quantity of work, but also the quality of work, considering factors like resources, skills, mental and emotional bandwidth. Say what, Tamara? Like, when's the last time you thought about resources, skills, mental and emotional bandwidth? Like, raise your hand. Probably never. Like, Patrice, what you got to say?
And I was just answering your question. I think I think about emotional bandwidth all the time.
Good. I love it.
Probably to the point where I drive everybody crazy in my household, but it's probably just because I'm a therapist. But that is a term that we use. And actually, a lot of times I'll say emotional capacity, but same difference.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And Keisha said honestly daily. But there's a lot of people that are not taking all this in consideration. They're just thinking, I have to get the work done, and they're just moving. You know what I mean? So to be able to consider all these areas. So it's like, okay, often I feel like it's more not mainstream to think of our resources or skill. So it's like, oh, we'll download the thing, we'll buy the thing because I want to learn how to, right? Or it's like, I want to learn how to sew, so I'm going to go to a sewing class, right? But we don't, I feel like a lot of people don't consider the toll that it can take on adding more on can do what it can do to our mental health. And even, like we said, the emotional bandwidth. So that's awesome. And I don't know, Keisha does it too. So maybe it's not just a therapist thing, but I feel like that does have a lot to do with it because you know better.
My kids, they know. I'll tell them that in a minute. I'm at capacity. And, I don't have the mental bandwidth to do whatever today. We're not going to do that today. We're not going to talk about that today. And I will go about my way and we'll take it when I'm able to.
I love it. Love it. The strength. So here's the 4 things I wrote out for capacity. So we have our physical capacity, mental, emotional, and then time capacity. A lot of us typically think about the time, again, the mental, emotional, and sometimes even the physical, is the thing. I know for us specifically, I'll say this again, I will always continue to say this as Black women, like, we don't care what we got. We're going to figure it out. It's like, somebody come in here and move this thing. But then sometimes, it's like, no, we get to, I don't know, for me, I used to feel like I was invincible. I could do everything. But then once I turned 40, I was like, no, somebody else is going to have to do it because I feel like that might stress me out. I feel like that's not going to make me happy. I don't think so. Right. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of my daughter, who happens to be on the call. Hey, Zan. Is that she is a really good gauge of this. And I don't know where honestly she got it from, because I'm very much like my mother, and who is now 73 and still takes on stuff like she's 17, and it's driving me insane because what she said, all the things she says yes to, I'm trying to figure out how to manage for her. Right. It's crazy. But my daughter, on the other hand, understands her capacity very well. And she will say no quickly. Like, no, that looks like it's not going to be fun. So the answer is no. And I'm like, oh, okay, girl, it's okay. So some of us learn it later on in life, and I did. So some of the tools and strategies to evaluate when we're thinking about our current workload. Reese said 40 did it for real, right? It was like, who this, right? 40 don't give a. So the capacity tools and strategies, time auditing. Actually really, I used a lot when I go into organizations or businesses to support them as a consultant. I'm actually doing one with a nonprofit that I'm consulting for, because they're like, where did all the time go? Like, we planned this, and then next thing you know, it's already Tuesday. And it's like, well, y'all spent all this time. I'm watching everybody run around like wild people, and nobody knows what they did. You know what I mean? So time auditing, like writing out your task, identifying tasks, breaks, meetings, and other activities. Very similar to parents that we might say to our young mogul, like, well, how did you expect to get your homework done? Like, today's Sunday, now you're scrambling to do your homework, but all day Saturday, you laid in the bed, or you was texting your friends, or you played the game, or you did whatever. You had the time. That's the whole thing. Was, I don't have time for that again. I don't have time for that. I started you all talking about how I was listening to the podcast Tiny Habits. And one of the things the author talked about is consistently saying, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. Why do you think I got time for this? So it's like, because they see you doing a whole bunch of other things that are not in alignment with what you said you were going to do. So they assume you might as well have time for this, right? So resource evaluation, taking inventory of your tools. So this is us in personal and business tools, our technology. What resources do we have at our disposal that will help us speed things up? One very simple one, which if you've been with me or around me long enough, I say, do not stay stuck. Just ask the question, right? Because in my experience, a lot of us, we just kind of suffer through it. And it's like, I'll figure it out next week. And it's like, no, just send a message. Somebody else could have the answer for you really quickly. So what other resources do you have at your fingertips that can support you? And are they sufficient at the task at hand? Sometimes the answer is no, right? Are there any bottlenecks due to lack of resources? So it's like, well, for example, if you're running a business, right? Say you decide to, do something that you need to speak to people, make appointments on the fly really quickly. So a bottleneck could be, I don't have a link for people to get on my calendar. So that's a resource I need. I need a way to give somebody a link, or they can scan something really quick and then they can make it, they can see my availability, as opposed to me saying, hey girl, call me or text me and we'll work something out. When are you available? What day and time are you available? Oh, I don't know, girl, I'm flexible. Okay, well, what about Wednesday? No, Wednesday don't work. Next thing you know, it's already 2 weeks and we still have not met. So when I think about tools, technology, resources that are disposable, and bottlenecks, I'm talking about things that make your life easier. Okay, so a skills assessment, what do you need to know? What do you need to learn? So that way you can upskill, up level what you're doing, because you're committed to doing this thing, but I haven't really mastered it. That there's that M in the RAM method. I haven't really mastered it. So I'm wasting time. And then there's the emotional well-being check, regular check on your emotional well-being of yourself and your team. Like Keisha said, you know, what is, like, how are we doing? Well, no, Patrice said that we need to take an inventory, right? Keisha talked about how she does it forward facing, how she says she assesses herself and lets everyone else know, which is great. So that comes into like the feedback loop, creating a system where family members can provide feedback on their current workload, any challenges they face, and suggestions for improvement. So it's like, Mom, you know, I have the business, I am in track, I'm on a debate team, and I'm trying to be class president, and you gave me so many chores. Like, how am I gonna, you know? So you have to be able to create that space where your children can talk to you about that, and when you can, and where you can talk to them about it, and anybody else in your ecosystem, honestly, and just be like, no, that's not working for me. Okay. All right, let me know in the chat how you're doing. Just want to do I want to do a capacity check, a well-being check. How you doing? And how you feeling about what we're talking about tonight? The other thing I have, so while y'all are writing in the chat, so we have to start thinking about planning for capacity and how to ensure that we're not overcommitting or underutilizing our resources. I have recognized, once I started capacity planning and started paying attention, and really a large part of the capacity planning strategy is paying attention, I realized that I had a lot of resources at my disposal that I was underutilizing. So it was like, oh, all this time I could have been, you know, and then giving yourself permission to adjust accordingly, adjust your capacity, recognizing the signs of burnout and strategies to recalibrate. Okay. All right, good. I was going to say something about overcommitting. One of the, on that social media post I did the other day, I talked about giving myself permission to not only say no, because we talk about that a lot, right? Like, we need to learn how to say no, even when we feel like it's going to rip our heart out, make us sad, we're going to regret it later. But we have to be honest when we have to say no. I remember Xandra and I never missed my kids' stuff, like never, ever. Like I was the mom that went to all the things, even if I only had beef at each thing for 10 minutes. And then I would go back to each one for 10 minutes and then go back to each one for 10 minutes until each one got 30 minutes because we only had 90. And Xander had a speaking engagement for the University of Buffalo, and it was a big deal and all this stuff, but I was exhausted. I was on like 3 nights of not sleep. I feel like it was like a couple days after the event, because this was recent. And I was like, I can't do it. I was like, no, because it meant I had to get up, put on clothes, possibly put on a heel or something, and that sounded egregious to me. It was like, I was like, oh no, I have to be higher than I'm supposed to be. I was like, so I knew, because I made a big deal out of everything. And I was like, then I got to find earrings and put on a mascara. By the time I did all that, I was like, you don't want to go. You don't want to go. So I just had to explain it to her. And I was like, I'm not going. You're going to be fine. You know, you got this. And then I was like, who's going with you? She's like, all right, fine. I'll ask Liz. I said, all right, don't forget about the pictures. So I sent her a text of all the things and the encouraging words, and I got back into bed. And that was it. So let's talk about implementation. All right. Before we jump into that, I want to give you a copy of this document for everyone to have, and it will also be included. Let me open it up to make sure it works. Yes, it does. So there's a copy of the document. So implementation needs to be a part of everything we do. So this is a way for us to kind of start thinking about this for ourselves. So the implementation portion of this is for us to start doing a time and capacity audit to reflect on your current time management and capacity planning practices. So here's the instructions. Put this little thing here. So we're going to list out our activities. And start by listing down typical tasks and activities you engage in during the workday. And now you can actually we can do this slash or just a day, right? So I'll put this actually here. So you decide what it's going to be for, but I really think because our work and family life, it kind of does this, you know, but you do what's best for you. And then we're going to estimate the time for each task. So in this setting, we're going to take a couple minutes and just, even if you just did 5 tasks, just to think about them, right? The 5 things that come to your, to your mind. Some of us might have things faster than others, but anyways, we're going to estimate the time that you typically spend on that time, on that task, and note down the time and note that in a time spent column. Then we want to prioritize, rank the importance of each task as high, medium, or low in the priority column. Okay, because I'm sure there's some things that we're spending lots of time on that are low in priority. Then assess capacity. For each task, evaluate physical, mental, emotional capacity it requires from low, medium, high scale for each. One of the things that surprised me is that I realized that social media and all social media, anywhere I'm consuming other people's stuff, it was starting to have an effect on me the same way the news has an effect on me. So while it's a kind of a mindless scrolling thing, I realized I was still consuming all these things. So it was a really mental, emotional, and even which caused a physical reaction for me. You know what I mean? Where I was like, oh, and then I was thinking about stuff and I'm like, I can't believe that happened to her baby. And I'm like, you don't even know her. Like, you add it to the prayer list and get on with your day tomorrow, right? Because it was like affecting me. And I'm like, how do I get from under this? So this is real life. So then we want to reflect in the note section, jot down any observations or thoughts about the task. Consider what you're spending too much time on if you're spending too much time on low priority tasks, or if certain tasks are draining more capacity than they should. Okay. So I'm just going to unblock the rest of this. You probably have, I don't know if yours is blocked, but it shouldn't be anymore. Oops. Come on. Okay, so here we go. So after filling out the chart, take a moment to review your entries and identify areas where you might be able to optimize your time and capacity. Okay, so let's say we'll take 5 minutes because I know we have lots of other things to do today. So let's take 5 minutes. You can write right in this document. See, it's fancy. And just to get us thinking about it. Okay. Let me know in the chat or unmute if anybody has issues with copying the doc. And if your doc is dark, just because I realized I gave you a copy of it before I unblocked it, you're just gonna go here and just put none. Just taking the color off it. Listen, Reese, I'm telling you, it is a whole thing. And then you're like, well, who is she anyways? And why do I care? So you have to put yourself back in check and then start all over. It's too much.
Tamara, you said just do it for like the day. Like,
yeah, so you can do it for your whole day as opposed to work, because really our work, home life, it's all, so that's why I put I've just put the little parentheses around work. So just do it for the day.
Okay.
I'll just leave the instructions up real quick. I'm assuming everyone could open it. All right, how y'all doing?
I think for me, I struggle with overthinking a lot, and I talk myself out of things, and the anxiety just kind of, and that we talked about that a little bit, and the mindset. Like I still haven't posted about the show or anything.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm just again working through that, overthinking it. Like
Right.
I'm gonna do it later.
Overthinking this exercise, or you just mentioning?
Yeah, and that falls into it. So I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna do it later when I have time to think, because I'm just always fearful somebody's gonna come interrupt me or come and do something, and I lose my whole train of thought. That just adds another dynamic for me.
Right. So you spend a lot of time thinking. So one of the initially what I started to say, and I still want to say it, is when you started saying you overthink, so you feel like there's a lot of time wasted. You didn't, I don't think you used those words, but that's what I'm saying. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
it
time.
is. It's a lot of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of time wasted with the overthinking. So there, and it's a lack of
Action.
productivity.
Yeah.
Right, and action. So one of the resources that you have that you could take advantage of is me. So as soon as you tell me you're going to do it, I'm in your face. So it's like, and then we're talking about it. And then even if you're like Taquin, for example, and you're afraid, scared to death of it, I share it with everyone else with your permission. And then now they're looking for it, or they're wondering how you're doing. You know what I mean? So I think that's something that we all might want to start implementing, is really just kind of getting it out there. That's one of the biggest perks of being a part of us in a circle, is being able to like hold me accountable. Right? This is scaring the crap out of me, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I need y'all to ask me about it every week. I need y'all to expect it from me. You know what I mean? So I know that won't work for everything, Keisha, but it will work for some things. Nicole says hers is overthinking because of fear. So yeah, but the thing is that the things still have to get done. So for you all, maybe the do the hard thing first might work. It's like, these are the hard things. This is what I have to do. I have to send this email. I don't want to do it. So, but let me just go ahead and do it, because it's going to mess up my whole day. Like, I don't think we realize how much not getting things done that we really want to do, or that we really have to do, that are high priority, not doing those things. It's like the ball and chain, and the ball keeps getting bigger. It's like as the list of things that we're supposed to do grows, and it's not, and I think it's training. It's a daily thing. I was thinking about that today, because I had a physical last week, and I left with all these papers of things I have to do. And today I was like, there is no reason I haven't gone and get all my blood work done. But then I was like, maybe there is a reason. Maybe I'm afraid. Maybe they're going to tell me vitamin D or iron or something worse. Who knows? But I'm like, it doesn't make, like, Tamara, get it together. Just get up and go. It's like 30 minutes, right? So it's probably a whole hour of your day. Just do it. But I talked myself out of it every day. And then today I was like, I'm done. Like, you're going to get it done. But I still had this battle. So while I got up and sent all the hard emails and had lots of hard conversations and went and taught a class and did all these other things, that I really was like, I'd rather be home in my leggings, but there's still always going to be something. So it's like a practice, Patrice said I have the opposite issue. So you don't think things through?
So I tend to, I don't consider myself an overthinker. I tend to decide that I want to do something, and then I do it, and then I think about it after the fact. And so after I've done the thing, then I'm like, oh shit, I did that. I done put that out there. I done, ordered this, did this, and now I got to figure out the details of how to actually make what I just implemented work.
Yeah.
So I'm like the opposite end of that, and I've always been that way, and I don't really know what to do with myself in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, I support for you is the same, because we've walked through some of those, what the heck am I going to do now tomorrow moments, which is fine. But I think it comes into giving yourself the space. identifying this is the thing we want to do. Like, we want to buy this. We're going to go here. We're going to do this. I want to make this change, or I want to implement this thing. Let me give myself, remember, I have a 48-hour rule. I have a 72-hour rule. I have a whatever it is for yourself, and think it through. And then daily write a note about it. You know, like, no, because, yes, because, or what am I missing to do this and execute it fully? Execute it fully. You know, I can plan the masterclass. I will say, hey, everyone, masterclass is happening on next Tuesday. But it's like, oh, shoot. Right? So it's like, I said it before I say it. It's like, it's like, we all are creative. We wake up in the morning, we're like, this would be so great. They're going to love it. Right? Let me tell. And so now I write it down, put it on my big old board over here. I write it down, and now I build it. So it's like, how much do I need before I start talking about it? Because once I start writing out all the things, oh, shoot, I need graphics. Oh, shoot, I need this. Oh, shoot, my Zoom expired. Oh, man, I got to write the curriculum. Oh, the girls have this and this and this. And I said I was doing this and this and this. I can't do this. Maybe I'll do it the next week. So like, once you put it down, then you like do the little spiders around it, like the little offshoots. And it's like, what is it going to take to bring it to the world and complete it? So it's like, give yourself, it's like, nope, I had this awesome idea. Let me write it down. But I have a 72-hour rule, because I gotta process it for 72 hours. Then if I still feel good about it, and I have the capacity for it, and it's passed the test, now we go forward.
That's good.
So you deliberate for 72 hours is what you're saying? You ponder it, and, you know, in writing and thought for 72 hours, and then you, okay. Yep. So and that's what you thought I was doing when I first postponed the show. You thought I was like, just trying to renege.
Me?
Yeah. Is that what you thought? Because you was like, you know, you can do it now. You're ready for it now.
No, I thought, okay. No. I thought there was some fear involved, but then
when a lot of fear.
Yeah. So when you explained to me your vision and the things that were not in place yet, I was like, okay. I think so. That's why I kept asking you questions. So it's like, we're not going to do it and do it half-ass. I don't believe in that. So I do believe in done is better than perfect, but it depends on what we're talking about. But if we're talking about an event that people pay to come to, and you have to deliver an experience, and they can go write a terrible review about you, like, I look at the now and the later. So
yeah, so that's what I was saying. I overthink it, you know, in that capacity. It's like, what will they feel? What will they remember? And that's the feedback I'm getting in writing, via text, because
you did it right, because you thought about in that capacity, Keisha. That's not overthinking. That is proper planning. Okay. That is proper.
I got scared. There was a lot of fear, because I was in people's boxes and I ain't had no business, and I was all over the place. But
I got it done. Stepped out and you did it. But you also, you know, I hope you felt like you had some support to like step out there into the scary abyss and make some decisions and hit send. You know what I mean? So now that you know what you are capable of, your capacity has expanded.
So yes, I'm even more scared, because everybody's like, oh God, I can't wait till next year. It's going to be so much bigger.
No, like, you already have the blueprint. You already have the blueprint. So it's like doing a debrief, which is one thing we need to do on our next call. Is we need to do a debrief. What worked, what didn't work. And then the next year can just be even bigger and better. And you have more time, because now you already know what to do. Or you already have the emails written. You already have the press release done.
Yes.
And you have the social proof that you did an amazing job. So more people are going to come on board. People were just trusting you. They were believing what you said, and you delivered.
Right.
So now they're going to believe what you said. They're going to believe what the other attendees say. They're going to believe what the other parents said, and what the photos show.
Right. As soon as I put them up. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as you put them up. Exactly. Okay. So did anything else come up for anyone else after we did this little exercise? Just unmute yourself, because that's really where we are right now. I just wanted to see how you all are feeling. It's just like questions and feedback. And if you have any other best practices or things that you've discovered about yourself, let us know. Oops.
I was gonna say, like, similar, I think, to Who was saying they were the opposite of Keisha? Who's just
It was Patrice. And then Sharika, you didn't say anything. I think Sharika said same. But yeah, Patrice said opposite.
So I feel like I'm similar, but with things that are non-productive. And I realize I find these like projects, it's kind of like self-care. Like I like finding these little projects or big projects to do that make me feel like I've accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
When really the other thing is what I really needed to be doing. Yesterday, during our call, I cleaned my refrigerator. I was supposed to be sitting down.
During the mindset call?
Yes. I went to go get like a bowl of grapes or something. And I was like, what's that spilled? And then the whole call, I was cleaning the refrigerator. But that's just like, it's so typical of, that's how I get very distracted by these little, I feel great about it, but it would have been better if I had stuck to what I was actually supposed to do, right? And put that in my schedule later.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. Because I'm very similar, Reese. I think that's all I got. I'm very similar. Like, well, my ADD is wicked. And there are a lot of, and I like what I like. And like, I could spend, if I don't center myself and I'm not super aware of my capacity, or I don't, my calendar is not on point and I'm following my schedule, I will spend more time than any human should just organizing my Post-its because they are such pretty colors. And then I will convince myself that I'm missing a color. And then I will spend 38,000 hours on Amazon trying to find the right colors. Like those things happen to me. The other day I was in the bathroom in my office, and then I'm looking and I was like, I walked out the bathroom and I said, I should change my desk around. I decided I would be so much more, and this is me talking to me. Girl, it would be so much better. You imagine how much work you can get done if you switch everything around. So I went and I walked over to the desk and I was like making a plan. And I said, Tamara, you're not doing anything. You're going to sit down here and open up your calendar and do what you're supposed to do. I had to redirect myself. It's a constant thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant thing. So it's just, again, how I have started to work through that, Reese, is giving myself the pause. Hold on. Even if my kids show up, or like come in the house and they're like all excited about something, or my father I can go to my parents' house and I'm like, oh, I got a meeting, whatever. Or my parents can come over, anything. And my father be like, I bought crab and let's have a whatever. And I'm like, hold on. I'm not done with my day yet. I have 3 more things I have to do and I will see y'all later. I will be back. You know what, girl, this is amazing, but you called me and I'm in the middle of something now. And that's when there was a hard conversation. Because it was like, you always working. Now I don't even answer the phone, the text, or anything. I have to eliminate the distractions. You can see the spilled stuff in the fridge and be like, I really want to clean that, but I have a block on my calendar for Friday for an hour. I'm gonna do that then. And I will literally come to my calendar during that cleaning block, and I have one on my calendar. Everybody should. I mean, if you're like me. And I put refrigerator as a task during that block. It seems really tedious and wild, but I have to do it. Or if not, I'm like not sleeping because I'm like, I still have to do the fridge. I still like, I won't let it go. Now, the other thing I want to say about the creative task, that's okay. Give yourself permission, but I think they should still be scheduled in sometime. Like my weekend is my wild creativity time, or Sundays is the day where I do all the fun creative things that fill me and give me joy. Narrow it down, because we can't be doing all the things that give us joy every single day unless that's our job. Like, unless you're right. And some of us, our job, it does bring us joy, but I think y'all get what I'm saying, right? We can't, like, we have to put a handle on it, because I would love to doodle all day, but I can't. I have a doodle day. You know what I mean? Like, there's all kinds of things I want to do. So Yeah. All right. So our next steps, anyone else, just unmute yourself if you have anything else to add. Our next steps is to implement one time management and one capacity planning strategy into the coming week and share your experiences inside the Heartbeat community, because we want to know what you're doing, what you're working on, and how it's going. Okay. So I really want to encourage you all to start sharing inside the community. All right. I'm going to stop my share. All right, everyone should have access to that document. All right, temperature check. How's everybody feeling?